We'll call to order the Administrative Committee meeting for March 9th, 2018. Are there any board member concerns to be expressed by my colleagues this morning? Hearing none, is there any travel to report?
No out-of-country travel from our end, Dr. Berg.
Either in or out of the country, right?
Correct.
Are there any board consultants to approve?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay. Then it's Ron Muskovitz for the status on major ongoing and upcoming projects for the information management. And I'm sorry I had you looking for the phantom status thing on the upcoming events.
No problem. Good morning, Dr. Berg, members of the committee. Ron Moskowitz, CEO over Information Management. Everything is moving right along on schedule. We are conducting data flow workshops for our eGIS project. We're set to go live with our e-permitting gas stations and spray booths by the end of this month. And we will be going live with phase 2 of our Replace Your Ride system very soon. In fact, we conducted a demo at the Bay Area at SCAQMD, and they were very impressed and indicated that they wanted to use our system. So now my team is designing a way to make it available to them in potentially every district of the state.
Wow.
And I'm happy to answer any questions.
That's good. Mr. Chair, for me, it's exciting to hear that the air district that we thought we needed to copy a lot of stuff from is now copying from us. So that's great news. Thank you, and keep up the good work.
Garbled to you?
Is it Nelson?
It was coming through a little garbled, Ben, so I was trying to get the audio straight. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What are the chances of us getting a supercharger at the district?
For Tesla?
Well, I would think for anything. You know, Ben complains it takes him a long time to charge his fleet of Teslas.
I believe I have the answer to that if the staff doesn't want to jump in, but I've looked at how, because we do this, we're trying to encourage this in our cities all across our region. And basically the landowner has to apply to Tesla or send a letter to Tesla as the owner of the property. Now, I don't know if we own our parking lot, what we would have to do with our CC&Rs for our parking lot, if we're allowed to do other things in our parking lot like that.
So we talked to Tesla about getting a supercharger here. The most economical strategy would probably be just get the adapter for the DC fast charger, the CHAdeMO that we have in the back. So we're looking into either doing that or putting, because they don't have an adapter for the SA combo plug.
What about giving them a bank of stalls where they could install their own system?
That would be more expensive and proprietary, as you know, so we're looking at all those options. But I think the most likely near-term option is just to get the adapter.
But my understanding is Tesla is looking for locations to do that so they can add to their own network. Have we told them we're willing to let them have 10 or 12 spots to do that if they wanted to?
Not 10 or 12, but we started with the supercharger. So we can take that up again.
Because if they're willing to put it in and there's no cost to us, at least that's,
right. Again,
that's how it's been described to me. And I know Lake Elsinore, the outlet mall just north of Wildomar, just got 24 stalls. And it's the outlet mall would never have bought that. We're willing to give up those 24 stalls to allow that to happen. So if we were willing to step forward and offer that, if we had room in the parking lot to do that, then they would allow that. But as far as other superchargers too, then we do have one DC fast charger for level 3 charging. But I know there also is another company 2 years ago that's coming through our area putting in superchargers. I know we have different pots of money for that, but again, if we just give them the spot, they were willing to do 90% of the lift. So
I think it's something that we can pursue.
That's a great idea. Because when I was going down to the dedication the other day, I had to go to an AQMD meeting from my house out by the airport, and then I had to make one other stop, and then I was driving down to the Palm Desert, right? Well, by the time I got there, I had 6 miles left on my car. If there had been a supercharger, because I drove right by AQMD, if I had been able to pull in and spend 15 or 20 minutes charging up, I would have felt so much more secure.
You
So if we
also,
could get them to put,
you also drove by a supercharger there at Morongo where I was at yesterday and spent about 15 minutes on before I headed back. So that would have been a good opportunity there at the Cabazon outlets, right there at the McDonald's.
yes.
So,
I did see that on the thing. They have that program in your system which comes up with all the superchargers on your trip.
right.
But I think we should be talking to Tesla.
We'll do it.
Here's what bothers me about this. It's not the supercharger. Here's the leading electric car manufacturer in the world, and we don't have a relationship with them.
Well, we have a relationship with them, and we've been to a few of their events. We need to see if we can get some of the technology here. I think the challenge, Dr. Burke, is that because their technology is proprietary, if we put in a Tesla charger, it precludes the use of other vehicles from using that. So that's why Matt was talking about an adapter that would allow us to, rapidly charge the Teslas and others. But if it's just a few, maybe there's something that we can do like you're asking. So let us reach out to Tesla and see what we can bring back to you and the board for consideration.
I'd appreciate that. First of all, I keep buried in my memory vault the comment that Supervisor Nelson made 5 years ago, that electric cars are a fad, and they're never going to be a real impact in our mission statement. So, I'd never bring that up to him. But
And he's not here right now.
The other thing though is I don't think going to events at Tesla is building a relationship with them. I've never met with anybody. I'm the chairman of the board for the last 26 years. I've never had one meeting with anybody from Tesla. So I don't know how many meetings you've had. Maybe you've had 1,000.
Yeah. I've had some.
How many have you had, Wayne? How many have you had?
Well, if you exclude the Tesla event that we went to, I'd say 0.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. We don't have a relationship with Tesla. We know where they're at. They're in my daughter's district, okay? I know that. She doesn't have a relationship with them either, as far as I know. But we're in this business, so we need to do that.
Yeah, our man Matt has had several meetings with them, and we'll move it up to change it.
What, does Matt know exactly what is the percentage of additional cost for the supercharger versus just a regular high efficiency charger?
Not at this
So
exact
twice
moment.
as much, half as much, a quarter?
He's saying they'll put it in for free.
They'll do it for free.
That's what Ben was saying. He said if you give them the spots, they'll do 90% of it.
Well, why would we be concerned about it doesn't charge any other cars if they will put it in for free?
Well, we still have to take care of other vehicles, right? We just want to try to make sure.
Let's talk about that. This is a typical government response. Tesla is now equal to 6% of the luxury car market in the United States of America, has not spent one nickel on advertising. So what you're saying is that at the expense of 6% of the population, we deny them this?
No, I'm just saying we consider it. But what I'm also saying is we're going to come back to you with the plans for a supercharger.
Okay.
Quickly.
Ron, were you finished, or did you have some more stuff here?
Oh, I'm done.
Before I
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we got way off topic there. You could have jumped in there.
You were getting close. That wasn't even on our agenda. I think that was a Brown Act violation.
Well, we called that a
Okay,
board
John.
member concern.
Okay, all right, that was board member concern.
Mr. Oliver?
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Good morning, everyone. Members of the committee, good morning. My name is John Olvera, Assistant DEO for Administrative and Human Resources. Item number 7 is to appoint new members to the district's Deferred Compensation Plan Committee. The committee is established to oversee the administration of the plan. 2 members of the committee have recently left the district. General Counsel Kurt Weiss retired in February. Chief Administrative Officer Michael Kelly left to work at another agency. This action would appoint the new General Counsel, Bay Gilchrist, and the Assistant Deputy Executive Officer for Finance, Sujata Jain, to the committee, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Move the item.
Second?
Second,
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mayor Benoit,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell,
Aye.
Dr. Parker,
aye.
Dr. Burke,
Aye.
motion passes 4-0.
Okay. Is that it, John?
That's it for now. I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay, okay. Next item is item 8. You know, I voted for you on the last item.
Good morning, Dr. Burke. Good morning, members of the committee. This item is to request removal of fixed assets that have become obsolete or non-operable. These are equipment that were originally purchased for $239,280.19. They are fully depreciated. And there is one item on this list that was stolen and 8 items that were removed prior to board authorization. The policy is very clear that we need to only dispose items after the board has approved them. And so finance has conducted a training of all divisions where we talked about the policy and specifically the policy that relates to disposal of assets. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I have one. It didn't say exactly, I understand from last time that this came up, what we were going to do with those items that we were removing. I assume they're going to go to auction or be sold or whatever it may be. Is that correct?
Yes, Dr. Parker, they are either surplus or they go to auction or they can be used for parts.
Okay. Some of the items that's up, like computers and old computers and those kinds of things, I think I asked this question last time this item came up. Have we considered contributing those to some of the recreational children or schools or whatever it may be that would need them rather than just junking them?
Yes, Dr. Parker, we can surely look into that.
I think that would be probably some of the boys' clubs or the girls' clubs or whatever it may be in the afternoons, programs that have those. If nothing else, they would serve for whatever number of months if they want them to make those available, through some kind of notification rather than just kind of throwing them out in the junk if they're still usable.
Sure, Dr. Parker.
Does this require a motion?
Yes.
Move approval?
Second.
The clerk call the roll?
Mayor Benoit,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell,
Aye.
Dr. Parker,
Aye.
Dr. Burke,
Aye.
motion passes 4-0.
Item number 10.
9 for 9, Dr. There's no report.
9.
No, I'm
Phil
skipping 9. I don't like Phil Fine.
He doesn't like it. He loves
Item number 9. I'm sorry, man. I'm worried about Derek. I don't know if everybody knows or not, but Derek went to the hospital yesterday and was operated on last night. And so I texted him this morning and I haven't heard from him, so I'm very concerned about him. But item number 9, Phil Fine.
All right, Dr. Burke, I will be brief. This is it's a routine item. It's just to replace CARB's membership on the Home Rule Advisory Group. It's actually replacing their alternate member. Happy to answer any questions.
I'll move the item.
Second?
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mayor Benoit,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell,
Aye.
Dr. Parker,
Aye.
Dr. Burke,
Aye.
motion passes 4-0.
Okay.
So, Dr. Burke, for item number 10, I'll fill in for Derek. As you know, Double Nickel provides us with strategic advice regarding communications, outreach, and this item on the agenda is to ensure that we have the funds and execute a contract. There was some concern expressed at a last governing board meeting with regards to the specific work, whether or not it was lobbying. And I know that our legal counsel has looked into that matter, and I'd ask Bay to speak to that.
So Dr. Burke, we're going to ensure that the contract ensures that the only work they're going to be doing for us is providing us strategic advice, and they will not be meeting with any legislature members to avoid any chance that somebody could make an argument that it might constitute
On our behalf.
on our behalf. If there's any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any further questions? Does this require a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
We'll accept a motion.
I'll move the item.
I'll second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mayor Benoit,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell,
Sorry, we
I
have
think,
public comment.
Dr. Burke, we have a public comment here. Harvey Eder?
Yeah.
Harvey? Before we continue
Sorry.
the voting.
That's real quick. I just wanted, other than talking to other politicians, elected officials, it should cover other consultants, other lobbyists. I don't know. I'm just talking off the head, on top of my head here.
I'm not sure what your question is.
Instead of, I thought there was a question about lobbying, a legal question, and that they weren't going to be going and talking directly to legislators. Does this include other lobbyists?
No, this is just Double Nickel Advisors.
Are there any other questions there in CC8? We have none here.
Any other comment? No, none here.
Okay, I accept a motion on this item. It's already been moved? Okay, I'll call the roll.
Mayor Benoit,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell,
Aye.
Dr. Parker,
Aye.
Dr. Burke,
Aye.
motion passes 4-0.
Okay, we have the item 11, it's just a written report. Item 12, John, you're back up again. I understand what you meant now.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Burke. So item number 12 relates to the executive management agreement with the General Counsel. The agreement includes a provision that allows Mr. Gilchrist to accrue compensatory time for overtime subject to the policy applicable for management employees. The agreement also allows the General Counsel to sell back up to 60 hours of comp time each year. At the time of the agreement approval, the board directed us to look into how this provision has been applied previously and whether this comp time should be reflected as salary. Based on our review, previous General Counsel agreements have included this provision. However, the previous and current executive officer agreements state that the executive officer is excluded from the comp time policy for management employees. It is recommended that the General Counsel's agreement be made consistent with the executive officer's terms as to this particular issue. In consideration of removing the compensatory time provision, this action would also increase the general counsel's base salary by an amount equivalent to the sellback of 60 hours of comp time. And given the nature and extent of the general counsel's responsibilities, it is reasonably anticipated that this sellback would have occurred on an annual basis. The general counsel's new base salary would be $208,531. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I'll move the item.
Second?
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mayor Benoit?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell?
Aye.
Dr. Parker?
Aye.
Dr. Burke?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
So Dr. Burke, item 13, which was in the event the committee wanted to go into closed session on the previous issue, is now unnecessary since the committee has taken a vote on that issue.
Okay, great. Then do we have any other business?
There's one person.
Hearing none.
There's one person, Dr.
For
Burke.
public comment.
Public comment?
Okay.
Just a very minor point, and it was on the agenda and I missed it. It was the item 4, the April governing board agenda and setting hearing in May for the 1146 rules. I think that was announced at the working group meetings earlier this week that that would actually be June.
No set hearing?
That it would be set for hearing in June.
Thank you.
So is that not what we approved then, or we need to change that?
So maybe the set hearing is in May, but the actual hearing on the rule is in June, right?
If it's on the agenda, we could pull the item off the agenda, either before or after. It just, this was printed before that decision.
So do we need to take this off the agenda?
Sure.
Okay, I move to take this item off the agenda to reconsider.
Second
I don't know, what is it?
I'm not clear here what's going on. You know,
we need to, we would like
did
to.
we approve an item for the board agenda which is not ready? And if we did, how'd that happen?
We skipped the agenda, Dr. Burke, and Susan was one that noticed that 1146 is set for June, not for May.
It's agenda item 4, and it's the set hearing on Rule 1146.
Staff agrees that that change is something they've already agreed to, so their staff's okay with that change if we would approve that.
Okay. Why don't we just make a motion for the change?
Okay, I move to approve the change in agenda item number 4 on the set hearings for Rules 1146,
Second?
et cetera.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mayor Benoit?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell?
Aye.
Dr. Parker?
Aye.
Dr. Burke?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Any public comment in your location?
Any public comment here? Nope, nothing here.
None here. We adjourn till the next administrative committee meeting.
Thank you.